Howdy coders, ProfessorSolo here. Welcome to CSS Dynamite, part of my WebDev TnT series. This video was generated with a little help from Notebook LM, using my own lesson notes, of course, because, yeah, we're letting the machines help us teach about working with the machines these days. If you'd like to follow along or explore the full code examples yourself, the repo link is in the description. And while you're there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. It helps keep these sparks flying in the lab. All right, let's get coding.
All right, let's light the fuse. Welcome to CSS Dynamite, the masterclass where we learn to make our web designs absolutely explode with style. I'm Professor Solo, and today we're getting our hands dirty with the most explosive properties in the entire CSS toolkit. So here's our plan of attack. We've got 4 key ingredients on the list. First, we'll paint with light using gradients. Then we're going to bend geometry to our will with border radius. After that, we'll play with depth and layers using opacity. And for the grand finale, oh yeah, we'll be sculpting light itself with shadows. Ready? Let's get into it. Okay, first up to bat. Gradients. I want you to forget about boring, flat, one-dimensional color. We are about to bend light and create some serious, and I mean serious, visual drama. And this is exactly what I mean by painting with light. Gradients are basically the pyrotechnics of CSS. They let you create these beautiful, smooth transitions between colors. Whether you're aiming for something kind of subtle or you want a full-on synthwave spectacle, this is your tool. Now, you've got 2 main workhorses in the gradient world. On your left, that's a linear gradient. It just flows in a straight line, top to bottom, left to right. You can pick any angle you want. And on the right, that's a radial gradient, which bursts out from a central point. It's absolutely perfect for glows and sunburst effects.
But we can get even fancier. A conic gradient spins around a center point, kind of like a color wheel, which is great for things like pie charts. And repeating gradients, well, they do exactly what you think they do. They create stripes and patterns, all without needing a single image file. Super powerful.
Now here's the best part. You are not limited to just one gradient. You can actually stack multiple gradients on top of each other to create these incredibly complex scenes, just like this digital sunset here. Now, I'm going to be real with you. The syntax for this can get wild. So here's my pro tip. Use an online CSS gradient generator and keep the MDN web docs open in another tab. Trust me on this one.
All right, let's move on to our next explosive ingredient, border radius. This is how we take those harsh, rigid, boring edges of the web and inject some much-needed personality into them.
This is one of my core design philosophies. Seriously, sharp corners can feel really aggressive, or maybe even a little dated. But just softening them up, even a tiny bit, can make an entire interface feel more modern, friendly, and way more approachable. It's such a small change, but it has a huge psychological impact. I mean, just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got the default, a plain, sharp-cornered box. It's functional, sure, whatever. But on the right, with just a little touch of border radius, it suddenly has a vibe, you know? It just feels softer, more organic, and way more inviting to click on.
So how do you actually do this? Well, you've got 2 main ways. You can use specific length units like pixels or rems for really precise curves, but what if you want a perfect circle? Easy. Just set the border radius to 50% on any square element. Bam! Done. It is that simple.
And hey, you don't have to round every single corner equally. You can get really creative by targeting individual corners to make unique, organic shapes. Or you can use alternating values for these super cool, symmetrical, kind of leaf-like forms. All of a sudden, a simple box becomes a total design statement.
Okay, next up. Let's talk about creating depth and subtlety with opacity. This is honestly one of the most powerful and yet somehow most overlooked tools for building really layered and sophisticated interfaces. And I want you to think of it exactly like that, a dimmer switch. You can use it to gently fade elements into the background, or you can crank it all the way up for these dramatic reveals. It is all about controlling what gets the user's attention.
So here's the best way to do this. Instead of using the opacity property, which, by the way, affects an element and everything inside of it, we can use the RGBA color model. That A on the end stands for alpha, It's a value from 0, which is fully transparent, to 1, fully opaque. It gives you direct control over the transparency of just that one color.
And here is what you get. See? By giving these boxes a semi-transparent RGB background, they actually blend together where they overlap, creating this entirely new color. This is the secret, right here, to making those beautiful, glassy, layered effects that add so much incredible depth to a design.
All right, it is time for the grand finale. Let's talk shadows. This right here is where we move beyond just styling elements. This is where we start acting like digital artists, manipulating light and shadow to create realism and drama.
And it is absolutely true. A really well-crafted shadow can make an element feel like it's literally floating off the page, or maybe pressed deep into the screen. It adds texture, it defines space, and when we get really creative with it, it can even make things glow.
So the two main flavors you're going to use are box shadow and inset. A standard box shadow, like you see on the left, casts a shadow outside the element. This makes it pop off the page. The inset keyword flips that completely, casting the shadow on the inside of the element, which creates this really cool pressed-in or engraved effect.
Now, to create that perfect shadow, you really need to understand your controls. Offset X moves it left and right. Offset Y moves it up and down. Easy enough. Blur radius controls how soft and fuzzy the edges are. The higher the number, the softer the shadow. And finally, spread radius basically grows or shrinks the shadow size. Mastering these 4 values, that's the whole game.
Now, let's get to my absolute favorite trick. Just like we did with gradients, you can stack shadows. And this is how you create that iconic, glowing 80s neon text effect. You just apply multiple text shadows, each with a slightly different offset and a super vibrant color. The result is pure synthwave magic. You're not just adding a shadow anymore, you're literally creating a light source.
And there you have it. Gradients, border radius, opacity, and shadows. 4 incredibly powerful properties that, when you combine them, give you everything you need to break out of the box. And that's CSS Dynamite, your crash course in making web design absolutely explode with style.
So here's your mission. Take these tools, go out there, and build something amazing. Experiment, break stuff, and most importantly, have fun with it. Now go make something explode. P.S. Keep learning.
All right. Nice work. You survived the blast radius of CSS Dynamite. Remember, design isn't just decoration, it's communication. If this helped sharpen your CSS instincts, hit like, and if you want more web wizardry straight from the ProfessorSolo lab, go ahead and subscribe. Up next, we'll be stepping through the form factor of web data. And yeah, it's going to get input tense. That's it. That's all. P.S. Keep learning.